Alrighty, I've been studying on my whole garage door issue, and of course I showed you yesterday I had that spring, which is heavier than that spring, if you can see it. And I was thinking I had an even bigger spring, so I went around and looked around the house where I thought it was, and I found these springs. These are shorter and heavier. You can tell that's a nice big heavy spring, and it's heavier than that. And so I started thinking about taking these springs off and replacing them with these springs, and that has some degree of difficulty working from this side, but on this other side it has a much larger degree of difficulty, largely because it's so close to the wall to start with, and on top of that I've got all these shelves and all these tools that would have to be, I'd probably have to be standing right about where all that stuff is, which means moving it or cleaning it out or rebuilding it, and then even at that I'm going to be working, you know, on my all scrunched up in little tight places. And it occurred to me that I could do the same thing. This door is heavy when you lift it from the bottom up, and when you get about middle ways it's not too bad, because at that point most of the weight, or a lot of the weight, is already up there, and it's not too hard to shove it the rest of the way up. And I was thinking, well, I could use these as a partial lift spring. I could go, you'll notice I've got two garage door tracks and a metal plate that attaches to the wall up there. If I went to that top plate, I could hang a connection to that and hang that spring from that. I could run a chain down and attach the chain to the bottom of here. That spring, depending on how I adjust the chain, would start stretching as that door goes closer to the ground. As it comes up, it would compress. When it got about halfway, it wouldn't be compressed at all, but at that point it'd be fairly easy to push that the rest of the way up. And if I've got a chain on it, I think there's a good chance it would, you know, kind of, I'm trying to think how to say this, the chain would kind of fold up as it went up, so I wouldn't be lifting and bending that spring all up too. I've also got some cable here I could work with instead of chain, so I'm thinking I can make that work. I thought about literally splitting one of those big springs in half, but I think I'd be asking too much if I expected that spring to stretch very much. I don't know how heavy those springs are, but I'm betting they're pretty heavy. But they're about 41 inches, which means they're going to hang down to, I'll get a tape measure here. If I've got them attached to about the top of that thing up there, then 41 inches is going to be right around in here. So basically the bottom of them would be right in this area. So depending on how much, and when this door comes up, the other thing about this door is this bottom peg down here doesn't come all the way up. It comes up to right in this area somewhere. So it may be that that would work. I guess the best way to tell is to hang a spring up there and test it. Start playing with it and start experimenting with it with different lengths of chain and cable and stuff like that. So that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna poke a hole through that top cable and piece of material up there, put a bolt through it, hang one of these springs on it, and then we're gonna start playing with the tension and see where that gets us.